Your house.
The third space model where it's like, it's not, you're not being pushed out. It's not a sports bar. It's not a restaurant. You're just there to hang out. It's not a coffee shop either. You're just also having like pub style.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or common house or all those different words. Right. And so the community, we wanted to make a space where we would want to hang out, and like BBC downtown was like that. Cumberland was kind of like that. We used to go for the $2 pints on Tuesday and $4 growler fill or $5 growler fills on Thursdays or whatever the heck that was. Scott Likens filled a whole bunch of $5 growlers for me. I'm sure he hated that.
Like dollar wings and shit. Like it was a hang.
Oh man, hang on. Let me date myself. BBC downtown Theater Square.
Yeah.
When I was in college, $2 pints, quarter wings.
Oh, those were the days, man.
I'd be a rich man.
Those were the days.
Yeah.
I remember when wings went to like 50 cents a wing on wing night, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Who's got this kind of money for wings?
In my old Kentucky home. Kentucky.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Kentucky Commons Radio Hour. I'm joined by one John Renee, meow, and Michael Moeller.
Hello.
And tonight we're joined by a special guest, Vince Cain, founder of Right Mind Growth Consulting.
Hello.
As always, we're at Burgrass Homebrew Supply in Louisville, Kentucky. If you're interested in home brewing or checking out anything that involves brewing, invite you to
I get a plug this week? What the hell's up with that?
Yeah, you get a plug.
All right.
You get a plug. If you're interested in brewing or have any knowledge of brewing, come by Burgrass Homebrew Supply. This is where we film everything. You can see the studio and set. And if you want to see it from afar, you can watch it on our YouTube channel. We'd love for you to subscribe, give a like, rate. Tell us if we're bad. We're not. But
get in the comments.
Get in them comments. Thanks, Michael. We're going to start the show off the same way we start every show off, by criticizing John's shirt. We recently took a trip to Asheville. Did you buy that shirt at Sierra Nevada?
Well, I've actually had this for like 15 years, and I guess it shrank a lot. It used to be kind of baggy on me. I don't know what's going on.
You're wearing a vintage Sierra Nevada Brewing Company, and it just says Pale Ale, Porter, and Stout, which by today's definitions would be three completely different things.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was like their lineup back in the day. Good old days.
That's a cool shirt. I like that shirt a lot.
Very, very old. I've had this for freaking
cool.
ever. I got it at Goodwill like in high school or some shit. Yeah,
You're buying
college.
beer shirts at Goodwill in high school.
That's a great find.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great pull. Just kidding. We're going to start the show off the way we do every show, with a beer to share. If you're listening for a little while, we just recently interviewed Dissolver Brewing out of Asheville, and they sent us home with lots of goodies. This beer happens to be from Dissolver and Atrium Brewing as a collab, and it's actually not a beer. It's a hard seltzer. So, Michael,
I love seltzers.
Vince, I can't wait for you guys to try this.
I'm Michael Moeller. Want to go on record and say how much I love seltzers.
This is the Go-Go Lassie. It's a mango lassie smoothie hard seltzer, mango, yogurt, coconut, cardamom.
So I put the IPA in the fridge, and you're like, no, I'm pulling out the smoothie beer. That's called pulling a Satterley, I think.
There's chunks in
Yeah,
this.
all right. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I could not have more good things to say about the Dissolver guys. They were very hospitable to us when we were down there. Really good podcast episode with them if you guys go back and listen to it. And excellent beer. My favorite part was when they just like randomly pulled out the like Shrek mask that like looked like it was involved in some kind of like fetish activity at some point. That thing had seen a lot. It did the 1,000-yard stare.
We're going to post a picture of the Shrek mask because I have it.
Yeah. And were they the ones doing Shrektoberfest?
They are doing Shrektoberfest this year.
I'm here for it. And the beer's really good too. Look at the freaking, I don't know, what would you even call that? Certainly not lacing. Like
it's a
chunk.
It's a smoothie beer.
The pulp, yeah.
It's labeled appropriately as smoothie beer, 6%, 1 pint. The artwork on this is phenomenal.
That's a smell, man.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
It's like a little bit of like a graffiti-esque vibe, and then you have this like really cool like Stone Cold Steve Austin like skull in here.
I dig it. Yeah, the aroma's big and punchy, pineapple, sweet.
The cardamom is like what's throwing me for a loop, is that it has that like spice on it to go along with all the sweetness in it.
You're right. See, I don't smell cardamom that often on its own, but I think I pick up what you're throwing down there.
I feel like I taste strangely because I like cardamom is gun to my
I
head.
do
What's it
taste it
taste
more.
like? I'm like, it's cardamom. Like, it reminds me a lot. Have you all ever had tapache?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like the pineapple and I think the herbalness. Yeah, for a seltzer, it's strange. Like I would never. It's really good. It's really really good. But it doesn't hit me as seltzer. I think it's
Is that
also
how they marketed it?
Oh,
As a seltzer?
did you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
I
I'm with
think
you.
it's-
I would have just thought it was a smoothie. Hazy.
I think it's because it's not clear,
Yeah.
which I actually really like.
I will give like points for transparency. This is like a seltzer FMB, but also not beer. I mean, like, you know, it's not the best thing ever when you kind of like dose these things to oblivion, and then you're like, it's beer, and you're like,
Yeah.
it's maybe not. Like,
Right.
I
Yeah.
know they're dissolvering those lines between styles.
So are those still like $22 4-packs or what? How does this?
Oh, yeah.
How does this work?
these were $0
Oh,
four
there you
packs.
go. Love that.
You
Market
stole them?
value.
Yes.
yeah.
We stole them all.
Market value probably around $20, I would say,
Yeah, all
but
right.
worth every penny in my opinion.
Totally.
What's street value?
So I have like only cans where you can get them for like $45. Yeah, you know.
That's really not too
That's
bad.
a respectable profit margin. I'm not trying to gouge anybody here.
Mybeercollectibles.com.
Yeah.
Is reselling bottles still a thing?
You
Does
go
that
to
still happen?
NBC.
I hope not, but I'm sure it
Oh.
is. You remember when duck racing was a thing? Everybody was doing those duck races to like try to win beer. Yeah.
Wait.
No.
There's an old video about that too. Yeah, it was supposed to be taught to help kids do statistics in like elementary school.
The beer?
But then this like little
Yeah,
website.
What are we talking about?
It's okay. All right. So,
You give small children beer and
Yeah,
helps
yeah.
them in math.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
a website called just duckracing.com or something, and it just lines up all these little ducks and it makes them race. And the idea is that you just track who wins, and then you can get a statistical graph going to be like, so this one won this many times. Here's a graph of how many people won.
I do
Beer
remember
nerds
this.
just started using it
they
to gamble
developed
beer.
that to like gamble with beer.
It was
You
for
just-
children.
You
Yeah.
pick a number, and if your duck wins, then you
Well,
win that beer.
That's like a fair game too, right? Like
Yeah.
that's been around. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do remember this. I had a friend that did the razzles and stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I avoided that.
I've
I
lost-
I was deep in the like, gotta go get my Dark Lord allotment and everything else.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
and I still have 24 Dark Lord
I
bottles.
have
sitting.
lost hundreds, if not thousands, of dollars on duck races.
Yeah, I know you have, and
I
you've
gotta-
won, but you've won like 2 barley wines, so totally worth it.
I mean, somebody's got to win at some point.
We're talking about like the old school shit, like Dark Lord Day, and all the ways beer used to be back in the day. We're all some old gnarled beer men around here. Vince, you're one of us. You've been in and around Louisville beer for about as long as anybody that I can think of.
One of us. One of us.
And just as an introduction to the audience, we'll certainly talk about Right Mind and kind of just what your path has been like with entrepreneurship and small businesses and stuff in general. But you kind of got your feet in the game in the beer world. Great Flood, one of our favorite breweries around town, on Bardstown Road, Douglas Loop, and then also out in Middletown now. Excellent company. You were one of the founders of that company along with 2 other partners.
That is correct. Yeah. Back in 2013, we established that business 10 years ago already.
That's nuts, man.
Guys,
I was graduating high school
Shut
and
up, David.
reading articles in the paper about Great Flood,
Well,
and there's a
that's-
picture of like little Vince
that's
like in there.
very upsetting that you're saying that right now. Okay. But yeah, that man, it was such a cool experience. You want to get into it? You want to?
Yeah, and actually, even too, just to start, like this, because I know that you guys, we talked a little bit about it, but the story of your all's opening is interesting too. 'Cause you guys started kind of planning it while you were still in business school, right?
yeah, we were discussing it. We had written some business plans. I actually helped to start a small construction company when I was in college and wrote the business plan. And I went through the entrepreneurship program at U of L and learned how to write business plans, so to speak.
Fantastic program. I also went through the business school at U of L, and the entrepreneurship program is the only other one that I would have chosen other than my major.
It's a great program, great people, and you get to get some experiences that you wouldn't otherwise get. But so I mean, we felt a little bit empowered to write a business plan and just kind of said, we'll just give this a shot and we'll go until someone says no. And Unfortunately, no one said no loud enough. No, I'm kidding. No, it was fantastic. We hit a whole bunch of luck in a row. We built everything, just like your shop. I'm assuming we bootstrapped everything. We built that direct heating element 2-barrel system. Built the built the box. Built all the fermenters out of plastic and bent steel, and it was very authentic. It was very us. And man, it was a struggle, but we got lucky. We the guy who owned our building there on Bardstown Road at Douglas Loop, his name's Nardi. He owns Patrick's on Frankfurt.
Nice.
And we're like, hey man, so I at that time I'm like 24, and I was the oldest of the three of us. And we're like, hey Nardi, man, we're gonna start a brewery here. What do you think? He's like, I opened a bar when I was like 20. You guys can do it. And I was like, okay, great. That's easy. But yeah, it's, then you got to jump through all the hoops of opening a brewery, and which was a whole heck of a lot more difficult back then.
Yeah, you didn't have any of the resources that are around today. Like, I think that even probably predated or just about dated when the guild started getting really up and running.
I remember having guild meetings with like 6 or 7 people in the back of ATG or in the back of BBC back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And, God bless Adam and John and all those folks for keeping it alive. But yeah, it was not what it is today. That's for sure.
Do you remember just, obviously we're not going to take you through like a cash flow statement or anything, but do you remember just generally what your all's kind of proposition was around the business model? Like if you were to have to give an elevator pitch to an investor group or whatever, just kind of what you guys viewed as your kind of ethos, or what you viewed as the spirit of Great Flood?
Yeah. So I guess I got to start with just a bit of a story. We started homebrewing in 2012 just because we wanted to see if we could, And
I remember seeing Matt in the homebrew shop.
Yeah,
all the time.
Yeah. And, just wanted to see if we could. We jumped quickly from extract to grain, and, just kind of enjoyed it. Jumped from bottling to kegging real fast, and put a couple things in the fair, and it got some really good reviews. Everyone has 1 or 2 folks who say you make great beer, and then you go start a brewery, right? But yeah, so the thought for me was community. There were some places around town, still are some places around town to get some great beer, like world-class beer in this town. It's hard to get really great beer at a reasonable, approachable price, or at least it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And my thought, and also there wasn't a lot of places where folks in their early 20s could hang out that wasn't a restaurant. I know that sounds kind of simple, but like I want to go somewhere where no one's trying to turn my table over, and I can just sit, hang out, have a couple of beers at my pace, and just be there, just to build, the classic beer house.
The third space model, where it's like, it's not, you're not being pushed out. It's not a sports bar. It's not a restaurant. You're just there to hang out. It's not a coffee shop either. You're just also having like pub style.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or common house, or all those different words. Right. And so the community, we wanted to make a space where we would want to hang out, and like BBC downtown was like that. Cumberland was kind of like that. We used to go for the $2 pints on Tuesday and $4 growler fill or $5 growler fills on Thursdays, or whatever the heck that was. Scott Likens filled a whole bunch of $5 growlers for me. I'm sure he hated that.
Like dollar wings and shit. Like it was a hang.
Oh man, hang on. Let me date myself. BBC downtown Theater Square.
Yeah.
When I was in college, $2 pints, quarter wings.
Oh, those are the days, man.
I'd be a rich man.
Those are the days.
Yeah.
I remember when wings went to like 50 cents a wing on wing night, and I was like, you gotta be kidding. Who's got this kind of money for wings?
Michael, don't date yourself like that.
Yeah. Now it's like $4 for a jumbo smoked wing or some shit. You're like, please.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes.
But that was part of the ethos. The other part was, again, not to make it all about money, but we wanted to have wanted to be approachable. I wanted anyone to be able to spend $20 and have a variety of beers and enjoy themselves, and then also have something for everyone. We made some funky beers. We sold tons and tons of different beers, but we always had something for that person who said, what's the Bud Light you've got, and I wanted to make sure that anytime anyone came in from whatever perspective they came from, we could find something that would bring them in and not push them away.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of it for me. And I think we did that for several years there. So
I think so too.
And you're really early in adopting that culture that I think breweries today still strive for.
Yeah. That like the Mug Club, that was just still one of my favorite things ever, man. some of the stuff I brought for show and tell is from that. But like nothing beats going into your own brewery like that and knowing on a given day of the week which of your regulars is going to be sitting there and where you left off that conversation and what questions you're going to ask them. You know what they're drinking. You know, it's just that camaraderie. And then, you know, we did these trivia nights that we'd end up having 20, 30 teams of these trivia nights, and we knew who they were all going to be. And it just felt like a big family. I mean, yes, it's a business, but that all kind of felt secondary.
And we were trying to work out the timeline a little bit earlier. So BBC obviously has been around forever, and there was a few Louisville breweries, obviously, that, I mean, Louisville has a vast history of breweries that opened and closed. But the first one that kind of is still around that was there back then was BBC. And then Against the Grain and Apocalypse opened. They just celebrated 10 years. So that would have been like 2012, 2013 was Against the Grain, I feel like, somewhere in that ballpark. And then you guys opened 2014, you said.
Yep.
There's nobody else been between that I can think of between like the ATG Apocalypse and then you guys. You guys were kind of the first of like the new generation, especially since you guys are so young. When you open it, like Sam Cruz is already old as fuck when he opened Against the Grain. Old man, and like whatever. Leah's eternally young, so that doesn't count. But I remember being super excited when you guys were opening, just because it did feel like, you know, it was kind of going to be a new wave. And then you started hearing like, you know, Rick started making plans for Akasha.
Mm-hmm.
What were the next couple of ones that opened up around town? So you said Third Turn.
Yeah.
Would have been right around
Third
then.
Turn is always way earlier than I remember.
I know.
Yeah.
Like
When
15, 16?
When did
15.
Mile Wide come on?
They were
Around-
17.
Yeah. And I mean, Holsopple would have been around that time,
Yep.
like 2017 or so, it feels like.
But there was a significant gap between that like first gen and then moving into the second gen. And I think there was a lot to be learned from that. Like you said, like the guild meetings were just like a few people. And then by the time 2018 rolls around, it's like a group of people that are like, yo, we're kind of organized and we're trying to do this.
Totally that as far as structure, but from the beginning, from the very first time we told anybody we were going to get into, we were actually going to do this thing, it was just open arms from every single person. So like the first beer we brewed, we used yeast that David Pierce pulled off of a Optimus batch for us. That was the first yeast we ever used. And then
we had to shout Roger Baylor in there too. And we had to shout out New Albanian. We only did Louisville, but New Albanian was very important.
Man, New Albanian is great. You know, what's the Gravity Head? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. There was a time I could crush some Gravity Head.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do it anymore. But yeah, and then Leah taught us how to brew on a grown-up system, and they taught us how to make our keg washing system, which is I would never ever do what we did to wash keg. I'm talking PVC pipes and manual pumps and all, and, you know, just Lowe's buckets, man. But that's bootstrapping, right?
Yeah.
All those folks, they showed us the way from day one. You know, it was never a competition discussion. It was how are we all going to make each other better?
And I think you guys said maybe you guys even did a collab beer together back in the day, Michael Muller, when you were brewing it Against the Grain.
I did not. So the Andrew Dimery, who was the brewer at BBC, kind of there was a few brewers in and out between like Sam and Jerry leaving and the next people. Andrew was probably the next one, and it was right around when Great Flood was opening up. I don't remember what high school I went to, but I feel like I was walking by and saw you all inside brewing with Andrew and Alex there. I don't know how long I can keep that up, but yeah, there was for sure. Vince, correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe Great Flood's first collaboration was at BBC.
Oh, for sure.
And I know I know for a fact it left an impact on Alex because he was trying to do something similar around the same time. I believe you and he are roughly the same age. And so it was one of those where it was like, it was a whole lot of firsts happening at a very old, not I guess very old, but an old brewery, like an OG brewery. And it was cool. Like to that point of community, like it's, I don't know.
Everyone remembers their first.
But like there's I'm not a very well-traveled man, me, Michael Moeller, but other people are far better traveled. And I don't know if there's that same sense of community in every town beer-wise. The amount of people that hear like, oh, you work at a brewery and you don't have like competition in the same way. I don't know.
I thought it was complete nonsense when I was reading Courier Journal and they're like, craft breweries are opening. I'm like, what the? No, like, no, it's fine. Like we can get beer at the store. It's no big deal. And then like Great Flood rolls around and it's like, this is a part of an entrepreneurial program. And I'm like, okay, what is small business? Why is craft beer a small business? Because beer is everywhere. What is craft? Like, how does this different? Like, what does it matter? And you know, you're like, okay, well, it's the $5 or $6 a pint. And you're like, that sounds insane. And then I'm here where I am now. Obviously, the art of seduction has worked, but you know, kind of trying to rationalize that in the beginning just seemed like such a radical idea, and I was like, God damn it, we're becoming like Portland, Oregon. Like we're succumbing. Like I'm gonna have like Portlandia episodes filmed in Louisville. But it's like you have iterated. It's just like the community that you build around that. Like if you can say that like your trivia night was one of the best things ever, just because you know the people in there, you know who's going to be there, you know what you're going to talk to them about. And one thing you said too that I like adore is like you pick up the conversation where you left it of like, I know this person because I see them, you know, 2-3 times a week. They come into my bar. And I'm invested in them and they're good people to me. And I'm actually concerned about what's happening.
It's like the Cheers effect.
Yeah, it totally is.
Like it's, I don't know. You watch an episode of Cheers and it's immediately like, that's what I want. I want to be a part of that.
So first of all, we got so crazy lucky with that location on Barstow Road. I mean, like if you couldn't paint yourself a better scenario for creating a space like that, you know, where you have the college right there with Bellarmine, a university, excuse me, of Bellarmine there. And you have all the people who could walk to your establishment. I mean, I kid you not, probably a dozen people that I still hang out with to this day are people who live within a tenth of a mile of Great Flood and just came all the time. Like that's just, you can't beat that. You know, we certainly weren't the best brewers on the planet when we opened that brewery. We certainly weren't putting out product that would have competed probably even in today's market in Louisville right now. But we were a thing and we were trying real hard and we were good to people. And if you're just good to people and you take care of people and you give them a place where they can kind of create home away from home, that's the priority. The beer is not that the beer isn't important.
I completely agree with you.
But that it is certainly secondary to comfort and community and, you know, just feeling like you're a part of something.
You could really feel a sense of you all when you went into there too, just because like you said, like everything was bootstrapped, and even just like the signage and stuff like that was all kind of quirky and like of your all's, you know, mentality and mindset or whatever. Yeah. That's one of the things I always like. And that's true about that other brewery in town. That guy, Alex opened, Awry, also just a welcoming space. Just, I don't know. To me, that's almost the most important thing. And I could give a fuck about the beer like a lot of times. Like I certainly want to try stuff, but that's usually not why I'm going to a place.
I care about the beer a lot.
I don't.
A lot.
I really don't.
But the idea of like having a community aspect kind of exponentializes how you feel there, you know. One thing I always liked about Great Flood was like the history tie-in. The brand had a really good identity that tied into Louisville, that like had roots, and like building a brand in today's market is really hard because it's kind of like everybody's done this. But Great Flood had like actual historical facts that, you know, I thought were just fun.
The name had a meaning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So many places open and it's like, well, okay, why is it that? Like, it sounds cool, which is totally fine. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah. But it's, I don't know. Great Flood. My grandfather remembers that flood.
Yeah.
And that was like kind of the first nod I ever heard of. Was like, oh yeah, it was a huge thing that we all know about. We're all like intellectually, we all know about it, but it's so easy to forget. Like, oh, we're potentially sitting underwater where we are right now. I have no idea. Maybe.
Are you saying that somebody's going to open a brewery in 10 years called like COVID? COVID sucked.
No, in like 90 years.
Yeah. That's better.
Not to get all philosophical on that, but what was interesting to us about the Great Flood story was, I don't know if you remember the orange card that was on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
It was
that's what I was thinking of.
It was people would pin it to their lapel, and it said, ultimately it was, I dare you to catch me not smiling. The whole point was, we're going to get through this together, which is not exactly the mindset that maybe a lot of us heard through COVID, perhaps. Again, not to get all deep or certainly not political, but that story to me said like, this is what Louisville is. Louisville is the kind of people who pick themselves up and get through these incredibly difficult stuff. I mean, we're talking January 1937. And if you think of Louisville on a map, Churchill Downs was flooded. So you think of where the river is, all the way to the entire infield for where Churchill was flooded, just for perspective.
During fucking Prohibition too. Holy shit.
Yeah. So and we didn't. So the story on that, just briefly, is there's a book. It's called Rising Waters, Soaring Spirits or something. And we met the author when we were considering naming the brewery that, and he came and told us the story. And every single thing he told us was positivity. It was like the triumph. It was overcoming adversity. And we're like, well, that's got to be it. And then come to find out as well. Maybe you've heard of the mile long, the supposed mile long pontoon bridge that was built out of empty bourbon barrels. You heard that story?
I've not heard this.
Well, it allegedly took people from downtown up into the Highlands, and there was apparently right across the street from the Great Flood building, there was like kind of a depot for the displaced from downtown to come get help.
Wow.
And you got to remember the Highlands at that edge was like the end of civilization in Louisville back then. So it was all so perfect, man. Isn't that kind of cool? Did I blow your mind?
I love that.
A mile-long bridge
made out of
bourbon barrels.
Made in it one day was the story. In one day, cobbled together so people could walk across it.
It's like some Alexander the Great shit, except
I feel
bourbon.
like I knew a lot of Louisville history, and that just did not make the cut.
So there's a little
folklore.
There's a little book on the table I brought for show and tell. It's from 1937. It's about the flood. You can check it out.
Well, that kind of brings us into the modern era, and you guys were certainly, along and involved with that. But after you guys opened, we talked about how a few years later, a bunch of other breweries started popping up. What was it like for you guys just to kind of, or what was it like for you just to experience that on the other side? And then, so you also transitioned away from Great Flood in 2018, I think.
Yeah. Well, one, it was so cool because anybody who was opening a brewery I'm sure they went to every brewery, but they'd come hang out. I remember Rick coming and drinking beer, and I remember the old Louisville Brewing guys. They were right around.
Yeah,
that
they
time.
were the OG too. Yep.
They would come in and just talk, and Matt was always great at solving problems or giving resources or whatever. And yeah, it's just the community kind of builds on itself. The Third Turn guys are still good friends now, and it just everything just builds on itself, and it's so cool to watch it grow into something bigger. But yeah, I in like 17, 18, I just decided the writing was on the wall. It was just, I needed to do something different. My whole mantra professionally and personally is like, I like to build a thing, and then kind of move on to the next thing to build. And, we, with Great Flood in 4 years, we went from our 5-gallon backyard system to the 15-barrel hot side. We were selling in 3 states, and it was pretty cool. And I was like, all right, but then it kind of got to, I was the one selling beer at bars real late at night. And I was like, that's not my life.
Yeah.
But again, the people, the community at the tap room, the Floodliers Club, our mug club, I'll never forget it. Just the best, way better than getting an MBA or working at a desk job in your mid-20s, right?
And I think, we'll talk a little bit more about entrepreneurship in general, I'm sure. But like when you start a business, and I'm sure we can actually all probably personally speak to this. If you don't have an exit strategy, your exit strategy is death. Yeah. Like if you don't kind of have like even a very vague vision in your mind when you start something about what you'd like to see it doing in 5 years, like, are you still going to be there every day? I'll use myself an example, like
John,
unloading pallets like in the hot sun, like just talking to every customer, like can't go on trips because I'm like working every day and stuff like that. So, it's important to have that in your mind, and it's pretty introspective. I'm not sure exactly what word I want to use, but it takes some like introspection to know that's my thing. It's like, I want to help something get off the ground and make some jobs for some other people. And then I want to fire myself, like try to let this thing go without me, because at the end of the day, it's going to have to go without you one way or the other if it's going to survive, because you're going to plots like at some point. You can't literally do it forever.
Yeah. Are you building yourself a job, or are you building yourself like a business that can become, legacy or an exit for you, or you can create job opportunities for a lot of other people. That's I think when we started Great Flood, we were thinking like, we just got to make enough money to pay ourselves enough to like not die.
Yeah.
But now with the new business I've started, like I'm trying to figure out how can I bring on some great people to join my team, and how can we make the biggest possible impact on the community, more as become, bigger than the sum of our parts by putting a great team together. And that's, that's the way to do it. That's what you guys are doing, right?
Louisville Ale Trail? I think so. I think that
We can ditch
that's
the
at least a goal.
ruse.
So,
Alex Vogt, head brewer,
no, just one of the partners.
partners. Yeah,
there's no head brewer. It's me and T-Mart.
Yeah.
But yeah. I honestly.
Alex, thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Sorry.
You've been here the whole time?
Michael had to step out. So I'll fill in for him as best I can. I do want to speak to having that idea of starting something and then in the back of your mind being able to let go.
That's the biggest thing.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane in a way of like, I have so much respect, it's so much forethought and maturity and taking your ego out of it. That's like I'm sitting here listening to you say that. I'm like, damn.
Me too.
Hold on. Like,
Me
yeah,
too.
but I mean, really, it's
So for context, Awry Brewing
Yes.
just opened
yeah.
a few months ago. Great Flood, as we've been talking about, opened 11 years ago. 10 years?
2014, almost
Okay.
10 years ago.
Yeah, almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So we have the pedigree of one of the newest breweries in Louisville and one of the oldest breweries in Louisville.
Yeah. It's but that's it. It's a super easy thing to lose sight of, especially when you start making any type of money.
Yeah.
and not even like all of a sudden I don't have a boss. Everybody at this table knows that feeling at this point of like, I'm not rich, but I have nobody can tell me what to do. Knowing that and then being like, yeah, maybe I'll let that go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mad props. And it's not a good way. I'm having trouble like actually expressing.
No, I think you nailed
You know
it.
what I'm-
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
No, I'm with you.
And you transitioned into working with, as you said, your kind of passion was in startups and stuff like that. Your next move, you bounced around a little bit, but eventually moved into kind of helping nonprofits and doing some kind of consulting and kind of helping other people have that vision of, seeing the longer span or seeing blind spots. Kind of talk us about what you did after moving away from Great Flood, kind of getting to the point where you kind of wanted to start your own thing.
Yeah, I'll spare you some of the boring details, but I spent a few years at an accounting firm. That's the boring details.
That's boring.
But I did meet my wife at said accounting firm, so
Hey, there
it was
you
the
go.
best job I've ever had.
Less
Cha-ching.
boring.
Then I got my PMP certification, so I'm a formal project manager. Then I spent some time working in software development, and for the last 2 years I've been working with nonprofits, which is I was telling you before the show, my stated passion is I want to work with people with purpose beyond profit. So not businesses that don't want to be profitable necessarily, but someone who's trying to do something bigger than just make money or I want to solve some problems. I want to improve our community, and I want to make life better for people that are struggling. And that's I'm just putting it out there and saying if you're one of those people and you're struggling to get it done, or you've got gaps in your team or in your resources, I want to come in and fill those gaps and make things happen. And I'm working with a bunch of nonprofits right now. I've only been doing this like 2 months now, in my own gig, and it's just amazing. You put it into the world, and sometimes it just happens. So,
and that's kind of the ethos behind Right Mind. Like you just said, you started a couple of months back. We talked a little bit about the elevator pitch for Great Flood or whatever. You just did a lot of it, but what's the overarching goal of Right Mind beyond anything you just said?
It's what I just said, and then it's trying to create a team of folks that can plug in and solve problems for businesses and create growth where growth may not have been possible. And I've kind of not to pitch this. I didn't tell you about this, but I've got a little side project right now. There's
I've been there.
Yeah. So this little side thing I'm working on. I'd like to change the way we look at nonprofits.
Mm-hmm.
Full stop. I'd like to change the way we analyze what a successful nonprofit is. Is a nonprofit good if it just makes enough money each year to continue to exist? Or is a nonprofit good if it solves the problem it's trying to solve?
So like an impact based, like measurement.
Yeah. And right now, if you want to be a good nonprofit, you just got to make sure you spend 90% of the dollars you get on something related to, your mission, or something related to a program. And again, I'm not suggesting we should be willy-nilly with money that's been donated, but I'm saying let's make the biggest possible impact.
Sure.
And I also think you shouldn't have to be living at the poverty line to work for an organization that does good in the community. So I'm actually working on a project to bring the Uncharitable film here to Louisville. Check that out if you get a chance. It's just talking about changing the dichotomy of nonprofits.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's my little side thing.
I love that.
Yeah. Sorry to interject that.
You've had this like whole theme about like helping out when there's entrepreneurial struggles. In anyone that's ever tried to start a business ever will understand how like just absolutely overwhelming it all is.
Oh, yeah.
Like you could have the best business idea and the best plan to launch it, and you don't know dick about accounting or like filing with the state or the
HR,
federal government, or like what employees mean or how you do benefits or how you do this or that or the other. And there's always like a gap to fill. So like if you're helping fill some of those gaps, then yeah, you can make the thing move forward. But also, like, would you say purpose?
Purpose beyond profit.
Purpose beyond profit. Yeah. Like figuring that out and understanding, like, I think that bleeds into the nonprofit thing that you said of just like, let's make this work. But also, what the hell are you doing with this? Like,
yeah. Well, and I mean, it's kind of like what you guys are doing here, you know, like you're empowering the homebrew community, the craft beer community. I mean, you are the where it starts. You know, if someone's going to open a brewery in the next 5 years and they live in Louisville, that's probably going to be because they came here and they talked to you and they bought some, you know, it's just the same story that is our story from 10 years ago. You know? You're creating a critical part of this community, you know, and that's the thing that's beyond. Yeah, it'd be great if you make a bunch of money and you can go on 3 vacations a year and, you know, enjoy yourself and be comfortable. But
if that takes the joy out of actually coming in day to day, it's like because I always view that as the bigger picture. It's like exactly what you're saying. The reason that this job is like fun, which ultimately makes it sustainable above even money, is because like I don't want to blow my brains out most days. Like it's fun to get a pretty chill hang in here, like, and just homebrewers come in. Sometimes they bring you a beer. Sometimes they bring you some mead. Those are the hard days, or some moonshine. Those are the really hard days, or tractor fuel. But no, I totally resonate with what you're saying there. And in the culture that we all kind of grew up in of, you know, 80s and 90s, like hustle, and the hustle culture has evolved now to something different, which I don't know if is good or bad, but like, I feel like there's more and more businesses that resonate with what you're saying opening up all the time, which to me is a great new form of capitalism.
Yeah. And I think it's, you know, and I'm trying to take advantage a bit of all the folks that want to go out and turn their own dreams into reality, because I want to help show them what might be keeping them from getting there and then help them get there.
Yeah.
You know, it could be a brewery that's trying to figure out how to become profitable, or, you know, it could be anybody. I'm just, I think one of the cool things about having been in brewing and, you know, I've worked in healthcare and I've worked in accounting, I've seen a bunch of stuff, and I may be a master of none, but I've seen just about, you know, I've made all the mistakes that someone can probably make. And maybe I can just help you not make those same mistakes.
So you've seen, like you said, you've seen a lot.
Yeah.
Do you have any comment on like the development of Louisville brewing as like the community, how it's grown over the years? Like, do you think it's like stronger, weaker? Like, obviously there's trends, but
yeah, man, I love it. I honestly, I love everything about it. You know, I love that you guys have this podcast, and not to be a homer, but I love that it's turned into something that feels tangible and real. And, you know, I just recently, you know, you got West 6 opening up downtown. You've got Country Boy coming into town. You've got, you know, all the smaller guys that have opened up recently. You know, it's starting to feel a lot like it used to feel driving through Chicago or driving through, you know, even Indianapolis had a little bit of a scene, but you know, but of course I was in Grand Rapids over the weekend, so it doesn't feel like there's that many breweries here right now. But yeah, it is so cool to see where it's gotten to, for sure.
It reminds me a lot. We were just in Nashville. I think we said it a few times. Like we're dropping our vacays now, but like, so I had not taken a vacation, as I told you earlier, since starting this homebrew shop in 2015. And we did a quick little trip to Charleston. It was incredible to see the beer community there. But Asheville was always like the best town for beer, like east of the Mississippi. Fuck you, Chicago.
Hop leaf, man. Come on.
I mean, Chicago's pretty good, but Asheville was always like my
Saying,
spot because we would go down there. My aunt lives in Asheville, so we'd go down there a few times a year, and like it was like the brewery scene was popping back then. But just kind of having not been there in 10 years, now I go down there, I'm like, holy shit! There's like 2 breweries on every block.
Oh, John was like, I'm gonna navigate you guys. Like as soon as we get here, you turn left, and like this place isn't even fucking here anymore. You
And I had
have
a
no idea
giant
where you're
glass of
talking
sake and got totally lost, and I had a tiki bar or whatever. But Louisville right now reminds me of what Asheville felt like right before it like really, really blew up when it would have been like 2010 to 2015 when like the new shit was like Wedge and like Asheville Brewing Company. Those are like the places that are opening up that kind of now remind me of like the vibes of like Awry or, you know, Kairos. Like they all kind of have their little niches that they're filling. They're all doing unique stuff. Everybody's getting their followings, and we're starting to get to that kind of like who wrote that Tipping Point book? It was probably like Malcolm Gladwell or something. It feels like we're right on that tipping point where there starts to be a bigger synergy than just a bunch of businesses operating and kind of having the same vibe. I feel like now Louisville's reached that point where we're becoming a beer city. And I think we have a lot of advantages because of bourbonism and foodieism and horseyism, if that's a word.
Horsey? Is that
now.
Arby's reference?
yeah, horseyism. But I don't know. It's all working together. And I, for one, am excited to see it.
It is crazy thinking Asheville, I'm just guessing 2012, 2013. And it's like there's High Wire and Green Man on that little strip. And then you can walk around and go to the Funkatorium. And there's probably double that many breweries there now.
I mean,
triple.
I would say
triple.
Yeah,
Something like that.
Yeah.
That's just crazy.
And in all the surrounding towns too, which is
Right.
kind of what we're starting to see in Kentucky as well. Like every little town's getting 1 or even 2 or even 3 breweries popping up and all making really good beer, which is like awesome to be able to take little day trips. We did Indianapolis, like we had our last day with the Tesla rental. So me and Courtney went up to Indianapolis on Monday. Everything was closed because it was fucking Labor Day. So we had to Upland.
Stupid car.
Yeah. Oh, you love it. Anyway,
Hit Upland.
big part of beer culture has always been a sharing of an Underberg together. Do you guys want to take a little Berg break? Was Underberg a thing back when you guys were slinging?
Man, look, I have never had one of these ever.
Are you serious?
I know.
Right.
So give you the rundown.
I'm so curious.
You can twist off the paper. It can be like really naked or like as much as you're comfortable with.
Do you all remember your first Underberg?
Oh, I do. It was with Michael Muller. Who
Mine must have
happens to
been.
be sitting right next to me.
Yeah. I remember that because I was like, you've never had an Underberg? Are you kidding me?
I can't remember mine. I think there was a bar, an Irish bar in Lexington in college that would serve these. So I know I'd had them, but I never really knew the history of it until Michael Muller talked to me for like 2 hours about it one fucking time. Until
I
you,
remember
Michael
that
Muller,
too.
talked
Yeah,
about it to me
yeah.
for like 2 hours that one fucking time. Then I finally just said, Michael, let's drink it. Shut up.
It's been made for over 175 years. It's composed of over 40 different countries worth of ingredients. It's a great digestive if you've had a few beers, if like plenty of food. Like it just settles the stomach and you feel just like ready to move into the next stage of your evening. Or
Drinking more
morning.
beers. Drinking more beers.
Yeah. I have a friend of mine that every time she's ready for an Underberg, she will ask like, is everybody ready to feel bright and alert?
Yeah, bright and alert.
Bright and alert.
Yeah.
So prepare yourself for just a very kind of bitter herbally, kind of like bitters, essentially concentrated bitters, digestif.
Preferred method, 45 degrees, no hands. Let it pool under the tongue and then swallow all at once and then exhale.
It's a good thing.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. Thanks, Underberg. Especially after a big heavy meal or like in between a couple beers just to kind of reset your palate, reset yourself a little bit. So clutch.
It's delightful.
And the most important thing, keep the caps. I feel like somebody just posted a new prize that they put out on their social media. They had like a new little bus or something that they just announced today. I saw it on their Insta.
I did not.
Good Instagram follow as well. Underberg America on Instagram.
Yeah.
Oops.
I tried to do foolishly. Tried to do one of those like black walnut, like clove, like whoa.
Power surge.
This is back from the Spirit Box era.
Yeah.
Because we were haunted in here.
The spirits want an Underberg. Hang on.
Everything just flickered in the shop right now.
Katie Joe is telling help us.
Katie Joe Gleason.
We will leave this here for you, spirits. They wanted it in Duberg.
Okay, we did a spooky episode. And
our last one, we channeled ghosts through a spirit box in our last episode in the shop.
Since then, everything has been weird. I'm going to end my story because now I'm unnerved. but Vince.
Yeah.
We always ask our guests to bring one thing that they love that's beer and one thing they love that
Holy shit.
beer. Oh, well, we're
Bring it on.
something. Would you mind sharing with us your first show and tell item?
You going beer first?
It's up to you.
Mostly because I want another beer.
Yeah, it's beer time. So I just spent the weekend up in Grand Rapids with some friends that were old Great Flood friends. Shout out Greg and Maggie, and they sent me here with some 2017 CBS.
Ooh,
and
boy.
I also ordered some No Rules from No Rules Day from Perrin this year.
Damn, boy.
So I brought the coffee version to share with you guys, and I'm
Hell
going to
yeah.
add it. So
Let's crack them. David will go get in the beer fridge. That's one of the things. It's like sorry about. I don't know if you guys will be able to hear this in the audio, but we're getting crazy crackling and like the lights are flickering.
So I think it's every time I'm getting a text. No, maybe
Spirit
not.
says no.
I don't know.
Spirit says no. But one of the fringe benefits of working in the beer industry is you make a lot of friends with your customers too, but then you also make so many cool industry connections just with different people in the beer world and collectors and brewers and stuff like that all over the country. Really cool that those relationships continue to this day for you, it sounds like.
man, look, I used to travel, when you're in a brewery, I hope you're doing better than I was, but you don't make any money.
Yeah.
But
Keep going.
Not much.
not
much better.
Every time we would travel anywhere, I would just fire off a few emails before I left, and oh no.
Let there be light.
I would just fire off a few emails to the people that I knew we were going to be around, and almost 100% of the time, they just respond like, "Hey, come join us. We'll give you, So like, I got a personal tour of the Bell's Brewery back in the day, and I got a founder's guided tour, and I got a new Fort Collins, New Belgium tour. Just like here's a whole bunch of swag and some beers, and the beer community just takes care of people, man.
The power that a case of beer,
Oh God,
and more specifically, a case of beer that you're bringing into a brewery,
Yes.
which you would think might be like, okay, you're bringing beer into a place we make beer. And I know, like, from working on production side, and I know you know this too, somebody bringing in something, you're like, thank fucking God. I don't have to drink another one. Not that the beer you're making is bad, but there's only so many, whatever brewery you work for, whatever the flagship beer short pour is, there's only so many cases of that before you're like, I can't do this anymore.
And it's fun to just drink something that's not your own shit.
Yeah,
like,
it's
just
great.
so you get to taste it and talk about it. It's fun again. It's like not your job beer.
It becomes a hobby again.
Yeah,
you get to see what your buddies are doing.
Yeah.
Like what are people up to? There's simply in like what style somebody drops in front of you, because ultimately, if you're giving beer to somebody, it's something you're proud of.
Yeah,
it's something very rarely is somebody going to show up and be like, here's some bullshit that we don't want to drink.
Right.
So we brought it to you. And if you do, I don't, bad move. Maybe not.
Well, on that exact point, I feel like most breweries now don't do this, and probably for very good reason, but we would always have typically 8 of our own beers and then 8 guest beers on tap. That was just kind of the plan. To make sure we covered all the different style possibilities. But 2, because frankly, I loved curating the hell out of a beer list. And every single time a distributor picked up a new brewery that came into the market, I was like, great, give me 8 of those. Give me the rarest stuff you got. Let's make it a party. And I would do that like twice a month. You got to think of all the breweries that entered this market from.
Oh yeah.
Every single time, it just felt like we just got hit with, here's all the cool stuff. And, you buy 4 or 5 half barrels of the key stuff, they're going to send you some of the cool stuff. And that way it was always fresh. It was always, there was something new to do. And that's, it felt like a big accomplishment for us was introducing all those new brands to our crew of folks, like right off the bat. And that was always so fun because you can get the funky stuff. We would get special kegs of Monk's Cafe, we'd get, you know what I'm saying? And we'd get the barrel aged Plead the Fifth back when Dark Horse was just hitting.
For a timeline perspective, like the first Founders Canadian breakfast stout was what, 2012 or 2013,
Yeah.
or maybe even 2011. It actually predates me by a little bit. But what I do know is by the time
Son of a bitch.
that they
Yeah.
so Canadian breakfast stout is Founder's Imperial Stout aged with chocolate, coffee, and maple syrup in bourbon barrels. The first time they released this, it was innovative. It was a hit. It was just like the forefront of adjunct stouts. And then when it came back out, I think in 2017, it was just this like mad dash to like get this. Okay, the spirits have really interfered here. I've turned off like every
We're
electrical
trying,
thing.
guys. Sorry about the audio quality, but we'll just carry on. The spirits are going to spirit.
So this, even being what like almost 6-7 years old now, it still represents a huge like monumental shift forward into like, oh yeah, we made this thing back a long time ago and we're gonna bring it back, and people absolutely clamored over this beer. I'm excited to try it.
I am too.
Well-
I just checked the label to see if there was a horse or not.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
There's a horse.
Yeah. There's
There
a
it
horse.
Because wasn't that a whole thing?
Yeah.
CBC
The new
doesn't
ones.
have.
Yeah.
It's like the Mounties were like, sorry, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Man, if you get a chance to go to Founders Fest, that's a party.
Yeah.
That is a party worth going to. Great music. All the beers like $5. They're just pouring KBS at 11 in the morning. CBS, and the bear. What's the dirty bastard? The barrel aged dirty bastard.
Oh,
Arrogant bastard.
Arrogant bastard.
No,
Or
that's
Stone.
Stone.
Stone, yeah.
Sorry.
It's the fuck,
my
I can't
gosh.
remember.
Oh, we are gonna miss it.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Backwoods bastard. Backwoods bastard.
Backwards
Backwards
bastard. There you go.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
The reason this was Canadian breakfast stout and not CBS instead of KBS was because KBS was coffee and chocolate, and this added maple syrup in, which was a special variant.
KBS had been out for a bit though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they did
CBS was
CBS.
like the specialty
Yeah.
year.
Well, it's holding up as fuck. It's
Right?
really, really
Honestly,
good.
yeah, I mean,
Good.
the
It's
coffee
really good.
hasn't soured or turned green.
Dude,
like
hit
this
me
is
again. Hit me again, please.
It's incredible. And it reminds you of those good old days back in the day when we weren't all jaded and you would be so hyped if you got a bottle of this.
Oh, yeah.
But it's nice to know that it's still fucking good.
Yeah.
Like we weren't just naive beer geeks back then.
Well,
like,
we were.
yeah, but we were right.
still are.
goddamn
We
it.
were
right.
I know what I drank.
Yeah. That is really nice.
Yeah, that's super, super, super good.
Yeah.
And John, you prepared a little bit of a game for this
Yeah, now that
evening.
we're loosening up with our CBS over here, Vince, we wanted to certainly, you're very involved in the world of entrepreneurship. I'm sure you've seen the show Shark Tank.
Yeah. Indeed.
So that's how all business pitch meetings go, right? It's exactly like Shark Tank, I'm sure.
Yeah. All the cameras.
All the cameras,
Yeah,
all
it's-
like this big stunts and everything like that.
Mark Cuban's always there for some reason.
Yeah. So we wanted to play a little game with you. It's actually not really super beer themed, but I think we'll still call it, instead of Shark Tank, Bright Tank, which is the vessel that brewers will use to age and mature and eventually carb and keg beer. That's irrelevant to this game. I don't know why I'm explaining it other than try to pull this thing up on my iPad. I'm killing time. Here we go. We're going to play a little game with you called Bright Tank. So we're going to pitch you some startup ideas. And I guess your task is to decide if you want to invest or not invest. You can make that determination however you want. However, I will tell you, some of these are real businesses, real startups that actually have earned in excess of like $1 million of funding. Some of them I created. They're complete bullshit.
Wait, where did you get the real businesses?
I Googled like funny, strange startups.
I was hoping it was like Kickstarter. I'm like,
I mean, they're all things that kind of,
Okay.
but they at least went further than that. Like they actually got like funding from other sources beyond
Lift
just,
off.
yeah, exactly.
Question: am I investing my money or am I investing your money in this?
Oh, that is a good
That's a
question.
very good question.
Well, the spirits told David Satterley to invest all his money in this podcast, so maybe you're investing. Holy shit!
Oh my god!
Holy shit!
What are you trying to
We're
tell
sending
us?
this to Katie
Dude,
Joe.
that was a very clear fuck you. I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe in supernatural anything in any capacity. But that right there,
That was channeling.
that was uncanny.
Yeah. So David Satterley's money. This is where David's going to invest his money, unless the spirits object.
Well, then we
what's-
need to discuss David Satterley's net worth. I think. No, I'm kidding.
He's got $250K in the bank, ready to
Dollars?
invest. Yeah,
I have tens of dollars.
tens of dollars. Yeah.
Tens of dollars.
All right. So business number 1. Let us know if you think it's a good investment or if you're going to pass.
Okay.
Or if you want to say, yeah, I think this is real. I think this is fake. You can answer however you would like.
Gotcha.
The name of the company, Dog Spot. Ever been walking your dog, watching them trot around as happy as Larry, and then felt a sharp pang of guilt when you have to tie them to a pole while you run your errands? You wouldn't be the only one, and DogSpot intends on doing something about it. DogSpot offers smart dog houses strategically positioned outside of stores so you can leave your beloved pet in comfort while you shop. Featuring climate control, a pet cam that you can view from the app on your phone from wherever you are, and clean, fresh comfort, doting pet parents are loving this Brooklyn-born concept. To date, they've received approximately 1.5 million USD in seed funding and have plans to expand to every walkable city. DogSpot.
So I have to know, if it's fake, did ChatGPT write it?
I use ChatGPT to help me
Okay.
with some of
Great.
these.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Sorry. Like you pick up your animal and you take them to somewhere you know they can't go, and you're like, oh man, I hope there's a pole here I can tie it to. You're like, oh fuck, there's no pole. Like, what do I do?
Z-Car? Or what's the...
Yeah.
This seems irresponsible.
Well, your pets are having a great time in there, and you can monitor them from the mobile app to make sure that they're living their best life. And they're little, like, it's like those, like, in the Japanese airports where they just have those little pods for people. You can just put your pet in one of those while you go in be bougie in some kind of a boutique gallery, because I'm sure they're only outside of, like, rich places.
When that dog poops in that box, what then?
That's a great question for the company. Okay. Mark Cuban over here, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. So I'm passing on this one.
Okay.
I'm passing on this one because if you got a dog, do dog related things. Don't put your dog in a box.
Yeah, don't put your dog in a box.
Dogs don't belong in a box, and there's going to be poop in that box. So for that reason, I'm out.
That's just bad pet ownership.
Yeah, don't put me in a box either. I don't want to be in a box.
Now people will start putting people in those boxes inevitably, and that will be funny.
That's where people be living in there because they're like, this is like way better than my $2,000 studio apartment.
There might
Put
be
me in the
something
pet box
there.
if you're in Brooklyn. Yeah.
Can we solve houselessness with a
Hipster
similar
hotel.
situation?
So I'm both happy and sad to tell you, Dog Spot.
It's real.
It is real.
Yeah, for sure.
And you guys can check out the website.
1.5 million?
Yeah, and they are completely out of business now. Their website has been taken over by some type of it looks like a Japanese like account farming company. So their URL is completely voided. They're gone.
Wait, so can I add a last question to maybe?
Of course.
How many of the real ones, if we can guess, were maybe money laundering schemes?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. That's a great question. All businesses are just money laundering schemes to some extent. We're all in it for the free beer.
That's not laundering, that's hospitality.
Number 2, Move Mate. Dr. Harold Brownstein, a veterinary scientist specializing in bovine lactation, developed Move Mate to offer a lactose-free cow milking experience in virtual reality. Users put on a VR headset to simulate the act of milking a cow. It comes with a complete haptic feedback kit of gloves for a fully tactile experience. Once the VR milking session is complete, the equivalent amount of real lactose-free milk will be delivered to the user's doorstep within minutes, offering the joy and connection of an authentic milking experience without any of the digestive concerns.
Authentic milking experience.
David, have you ever had an authentic milking experience?
Is this Brave New World?
It sounds like some shit like that, yeah.
This is all very upsetting. It sounds like some Mark Zuckerberg metaverse kind of.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, my instinct is that might be real. I'm going to be out on that just because of all the words you said about it. But
we got an inauthentic milking experience guy over here.
All the words.
It's too many words.
Yeah, I didn't like any of that really. Milking. Has anyone? Have any of you actually milked a cow before? It is not an experience.
It's not.
It needs to be simulated.
Yeah, it's a weird squeeze. Yeah.
Good band name.
I hope you call this podcast episode "It's a Weird Squeeze."
A weird squeeze. I like it.
Yeah, that's my only hope.
Do you guys have any final thoughts before I reveal if this is real or BS?
I think it's real.
I think it's real.
Some like Amish developed app or something.
I want it to be fake so bad, but this has got like Silicon Valley, Like
Money laundering.
Yeah, well, see, this feels like that weird. You could just go milk a cow.
Yes.
Like you really could. Like, that sounds like a lot of work, and then I got to get in the car, and then I got to go. It's like,
is the cow Bluetooth enabled?
it's like,
You had me until the like delivered at your front porch.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna
see,
I'm gonna call.
that's what makes it real to me.
Yes. Yeah.
Like,
Just imagine you put on a VR headset, you play this little game, and then like 20 minutes later, suddenly drops off an equivalent amount of milk that you got.
without the milk, it's just a Steam game. There's nothing
right,
wrong with that.
right.
Like that's just okay. Yeah.
So this gives me big like, okay, so my wife is a vegetarian. This gives me big like, I'm going to VR massacre a cow. And then they're going to deliver some Impossible Burgers to my house. Like that.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Joe Rogan's
You know
working
what I
on it
mean?
right now.
Absolutely. Yes.
Like you slit the right here and then
I want to milk a cow, but I can't handle lactose.
yeah.
But I really want to get in there. Like,
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
So yeah, I'm still out.
You're out.
Yeah.
All right. Guys in or out?
I'm out.
That one is...
I mean, I think it's real, but I'm not putting money in it.
It's fake. I made that one up. But it sounds like a really cool company. I think we're going to start it like right now.
Move me.
Is
How many
good?
O's?
That's a
How many
good
O's is
seller.
there?
We have 6 total to go through.
Oh no! How many O's were in the word move?
I wrote more to
6
remind me
total.
to pronounce it, so I put 4 in there.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's enough.
move me.
LLC.
Number 3, LLC. Biomood. Biomood was founded by bioengineer Dr. Felix Miller, who initially embarked on his research to combat his own intermittent bouts of mood swings. Dr. Miller was dissatisfied with the conventional one-size-fits-all approach to emotional well-being. Thus, he developed Biomood, a highly advanced mood ring with a twist. This wearable not only employs a color-changing interface to display your current emotional state, but also administers precise microdoses of customized herbal extracts through a Bluetooth-enabled transdermal patch. The goal? To biochemically balance your mood in real time, turning emotional fluctuations into a thing of the past.
I'm in. I want it.
What are the chemicals?
It's up to you, I guess.
Is it based on the assumption that this actually works? Like do we have like because
You'll figure out.
honestly,
Well, there's no one. We don't need this whole one-size-fits-all viewpoint of emotional well-being, Michael.
I totally agree with that, but you can't just throw out bullshit and tell me to like. No, that it works.
Hey, you were all in on Move Me 2 minutes ago, so
I wasn't in on it.
Okay,
I just
okay,
thought
okay.
it was real. I don't think this is fake. I just don't believe in the product. I guess.
Gotcha.
I might believe it's fake. I don't know.
So this is a Bluetooth-enabled ring filled with drugs that moderates my personality.
Yeah, but like they
Yeah.
do that with insulin.
Sure.
Like that.
It's very much, I think, like that. So the
Yeah.
ring is Bluetooth linked to. So the ring is just like one of those rings you can buy that monitors your like vitals and shit, and it's also a mood ring, so it changes colors with your mood. And then it's like hooked up to a patch that you have somewhere to that's preloaded with chemicals, kind of like a printer. And it's like,
Saline.
oh, you need more.
saline.
Yeah, or microdose mushrooms, or like hemp herbal extract, or like whatever the heck whatever your
It's placebo.
combo is.
Placebos work.
I mean, I love placebos are my favorite drugs.
All right.
What do you think, Vince?
I'm fascinated. You know what? I just to stop being a naysayer. While I see a lot of potential flaws in this system, like like someone hacking into your phone and giving you turning your microdose into a macrodose. I think it would be really fun, and I think we should do it. I'm in. All
right.
$250,000 of his dollars.
David's in.
Yeah.
Wait, how much of the company do you get for that?
All of it.
Yeah, 100% ownership.
0.5%.
And the opportunity to retail it in every Target across America.
Yes. And only Target.
Only Target.
Yes.
Target exclusive. Unfortunately, Biomood is fake.
For now.
Not real. For now. Yeah, it is coming.
So let's cut the podcast.
Yep.
Go make a Biomood.
Let's get a business plan going.
Yeah, we know a guy.
Right.
I'm not mad. Like it's a good idea.
Yeah, that's your idea then.
I mean, yeah. TM. You heard it here first.
That's it. Make sure mail that to yourself.
My thing is like, how
That's
do you
foolproof.
self-regulate if everything regulates for you? You know.
It's all through the app.
You don't have to.
Just trust the app.
Oh, the app.
Just trust the algorithm.
Oh, okay. All right, give me the next one. I already wasted $250,000 on this.
It's not wasted. It's an investment.
It's a drug ring.
I'll never financially recover from this.
It's a drug ring.
It's a
Literally.
drug ring.
It's
Yeah.
a drug
It's a
call it-
drug
you should
ring.
call it
I'm
drug
part
Oh
of
ring.
the
shit,
drug
dude!
ring.
Drug ring.
Yeah,
That's
there
the
you
new
go.
name. Fuck that shit.
You're welcome.
Biomood.
Yep.
Drug ring. Hell yes.
TM Pen.
All right. Number 4, business opportunity for you guys. Take it or leave it. Once in a lifetime. I do. Now I don't. Josh Opperman started this unique company after his fiance of 3 months ended up leaving him. He was able to take the devastating feelings that he experienced and transform them into a successful startup. I Do, Now I Don't is a Craigslist for fine jewelry for those who no longer have a need for their rings. And people will get a much better price than they were if they were to try to attempt to return the ring to the store where they bought it from.
That's dark. It's genius.
It's not dark.
That's dark.
It's practical.
It's practical. It's genius. It's a good idea. It's dark.
What's the investment though? Well, I mean, yeah, like why do you invest in this?
Well, because you just want a piece. You want a piece. You think there's that 50% of marriages end in divorce.
The
You're
statistics
like,
are right.
Hold
Yeah.
on. Because, all right, this assumes in the divorce, either somebody gets the jewelry.
Mhm, you're
right. Yep. See, I'm even thinking
I'm
small-mindedly
giving back
about
your
this.
ring, like whatever. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
No, they never do. They keep it.
they keep
Right.
it. And then they sell
can
it
also,
on
yeah.
I Do, Now I Don't.
I think this is real.
Okay. You're in?
Have you heard of a pawn shop?
Right.
True.
Isn't that this?
It sounds like it's an online. Well, it doesn't. It says it's a Craigslist for fine jewelry.
It's jewelry eBay.
Yeah, jewelry eBay. I think that's probably the best
Craigslist,
analogy.
yeah.
Jewelry Bay.
Jewelry Bay.
I like that it said in the description it's Craigslist, and we're like, no. It
It's
ain't that.
eBay.
It's eBay. It's something. It's definitely not Craigslist.
It's not what you said it was.
Yeah.
See, that makes me think it's real too, because who's even talked about Craigslist recently?
It has big Craigslist vibes.
Mhm.
We're like, oh yeah, well, bitch, I'm taking your fucking jewelry.
And it's a sad story.
Yeah.
It's like that Ernest Hemingway short story, For Sale, Baby Shoes, Never Worn.
Ooh.
He said he tried to write the saddest story he could in the fewest words, and that's what he published as a story. I think it's called Baby Shoes.
Yikes. Okay, I'm gonna drink.
I always make it dark somehow, don't I? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. That one's probably a money making opportunity.
Mhm.
I don't like it, but I will spend his money to get in on it.
Okay.
I'm gonna say $50,000 for 40% of that business.
That sounds good to
I'm
me.
I'm in.
Wise Investment. That is a real company,
Yeah, it is.
and it's around to this day. I do. Now I don't.
Where are they based out of?
I don't know. I did not get that detail.
But I
Probably
What?
you do.
No,
Have you used the service before?
I do, but I don't.
I
Yeah.
gotcha.
You know what? I bet that the people who
missed
started
that,
that
sorry.
are the people who run Ashley Madison.
Oh.
So they're like, double in.
Yeah,
That's
just-
the empire.
Yeah.
That's what we call the
Just
empire.
get all the
business.
sides of it, man.
Mhm.
Yeah. Think about that.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. They still have ads and stuff, right?
I don't know.
I don't know. Is it real?
They have my email.
I don't even know what. Yeah.
Are you on that list? You're on that list?
Yeah, man. I'm trying to have an affair.
All right, I've got another investment opportunity for you guys. You have the opportunity for a $75,000 investment to get a 10% stake in this new company, diedinhouse.com. Speaking of weird, creepy startups, this company was created because its founder found out that someone died in my house before I bought it. He had assumed this information would have been part of the disclosure process, but he discovered that in most states, your realtor or broker is not required to tell you whether a murder, suicide, or other violent death has taken place inside of your house. Enter diedinhouse.com. For $11.99 approximately, it will tell you whether someone has died in your house, whether you're already living there or considering purchasing it.
This is 1,000% real.
Fake.
Diedinhouse.com.
$11.99 a month.
I think so. I'm assuming it would work kind of like if you're looking up like a VIN on a car.
Like, has anyone died in my house recently?
You would know. You
Oh
would
shit,
know.
my app went off.
Updates in real time.
Fuck, somebody just died in my house. I can't go back.
This has got big, real vibes, man. I think it's real.
I lived in a house where somebody died.
Yeah.
And they had to disclose it to me. Granted, that was in Indiana. You did say in a lot of states, so I don't know. But I don't know. It feels
$12. I'm
$12.
in.
All
I'm
right,
in.
you're in.
Yeah.
Wait, no, hold on. I thought this was
$11.99.
$11.99 approximately.
Plus tax.
But
Plus tax.
wait, you're asking for investment, right?
Yeah.
Because that was this
Mhm.
that could have been the one before the 50,000 for X amount of percentage.
Yeah, I think let's say
I'm
it's like
sorry.
You said
75,000 for 10%
10%.
stake. 10% equity.
No, I don't think this is a real company. I think you're a grifter right now.
Okay.
Let's
There's only so
Somebody's
many
gonna die in
houses.
your house later.
Yeah.
I've had that happen.
You're not
I'm
gonna
right
get the
there, man.
notification.
Well, not in the house that I bought, I should say.
I think it's real.
You should say that.
You know what? I'm in with someone else's money.
You
I'm
like
in.
it?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure. $12. Let's go.
Diedinhouse.com. Real company.
Yep,
Yes.
of course it is.
Well,
out there.
if you live in Indiana and you rent or buy a house and they don't disclose that, then sue someone.
Hell yeah.
Mm.
Probably
I
the person who died and didn't
I
tell
just
you.
love
I don't know the
Vince's
statute of
ability
limitation,
to
though.
squander my money.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'll do it.
You're-
he's doing a pretty good job so far.
Yeah, that's real stuff. I just made you $1 million.
All
Probably.
right. I've got one more for you guys here tonight.
At least.
In or out, are you guys ready to experience Star Meal? Founded by astrologer and chef Shelley Doolittle, Star Meal is a unique meal kit delivery service that aligns each dish to your astrological sign and current celestial events. By blending nutrition science and astrology, these meals aim to boost not just your physical health, but also your cosmic energy. Whether you're a Cancer needing comfort food during a moon transit, or a Leo craving something bold as Mars enters your sign, Star Meal makes eating a celestial experience.
I'm furious.
This bleeds ChatGPT, but I'm not saying it's a bad idea.
It's a terrible idea.
If it delivered beer to my house based on whatever those things were that you just said,
Yeah.
I would be totally interested in the discussion.
Okay.
But I don't.
Star beer.
Passing Star Beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm out on the whole star-related food situation. But I do think it might be real.
I mean, certain people would definitely do it.
I'm out.
Alex,
Bowler?
is David going broke on this one?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
David's in. We're all. The rest of us are out. Because unfortunately, Star Meal is fake, not a real company.
For now.
But Vince, thank you for playing Bright Tank,
Oh, my pleasure.
the brewer extraordinaire investment game for all. If you guys have any crazy companies that you think we should include in our next version of this game that you've seen out there, leave them in the comments.
Get in the comments. Just like saying that.
All right. Well, you've shared some beers with us. We have a few more beers we'll probably share before the evening is done. But I think, Vince, you also brought a few other things to share with us. We always ask our guests to bring something booze, beverage related to share, and then something with a more kind of a personal twist. You want to share with us and the viewers and listeners at home what you've brought?
This is great, by the way. Sorry.
Yeah, thanks.
It's great.
I was going through a box about 15 minutes before I drove over here, and I thought, which of these things would be interesting to talk about? So I just grabbed some stuff. I'll just kind of go through one at a time. I told you earlier about one of the cool things about it being Great Flood, talking about 37 Flood, is a lot of people brought us stuff like memorabilia from the flood. And this is a legit, very old booklet. It's from the New Albany Ledger, but this is pictures of the flood itself. Just really cool history stuff. I mean, it's Southern Indiana, so it is what it is. But I'm kidding.
Don't talk about Michael Mueller like that.
No, I love you, Indiana. Just not as much as Kentucky.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this just kind of reminds me of having those discussions. It's always fun to when someone walks into the brewery and says, "What's a rye? What's Great Flood?" Here's the whole deal, man. Let's talk about it. Telling the barrel story or the displaced people hung out across the street, kind of, that it just brings back those kind of vibes for me.
And it's cool as shit.
So, again, I told you the gentleman who wrote the book became a friend of ours, and he came and did we would do Flood Week to commemorate the history of the flood. He would come do a little talk, and it's great because we'd have people who lived through the flood come and tell their story, right? And those events weren't our best attended events, but they were some of the most authentic, cool discussions that we had. And he told us that there was a group of folks that were first responders and volunteers during the flood of 1937, and they would get together and just talk and tell stories. And as people do, as time goes on, the stories became more and more far-fetched and maybe a little less accurate, but that group lovingly became known as the Flood Liars.
That's right. Yeah.
So we thought, well, that's the name of our mug club for sure. So when we decided to start a mug club in 2015, I wanted to do it right. I wanted to make it special. I would try to draw on, I remember the BBC Club back in the day. Mm-hmm. I remember going to Dark Horse and seeing the 1,500 or whatever mugs hanging around that building. And I was like, I want to make it really, really cool, really, exclusive is not the word, but I want to make it mean something.
Yeah.
So I went to Louisville Stoneware and I said, make me a 16 ounce or 18 ounce mug And this was the prototype that they created for
Oh,
me.
wow.
So, and I told them right away, like, this is too much of a coffee mug and not a beer mug, but this is the one I drink my coffee out of in the morning.
That's awesome.
So this is one of one. But this, this is the club. This is those people, 150 or so folks that, really made that part of Bardstown Road really special for a few years for me. So I brought you guys a little coaster.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It might be the only one that I have there. I don't know if they exist anymore, but we used to, that was a, oh my gosh. Who are the guys who make the belts? Clayton and Kroom.
Clayton and
Kroom. Yeah, they made those for us.
That's awesome.
We used to trade them beer for belts, man.
Hell yeah. That's a good trade.
They're amazing.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. I'm still wearing the
Great
belt
work.
I've got
Yeah.
a wallet in my pocket.
from like 8 years ago. Shout out, you guys.
We'll have coasters in about 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Nice.
Getting some
From
special
Clayton and
editions
Kroom?
for Louisville Beer Week.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, great folks. And then can I share another fun story?
Of course.
We have time for that. So the Great Flood guys and we had to drive up to Lafayette, Indiana to
Middle of nowhere.
to go to Ball to get our cans run. And it felt pretty special to know that we started at five gallons, and we're going up and we're getting our cans printed, tens of thousands of cans. You have to order a full truckload. You have to order a truckload.
It's kind of like when a band hears their song on the radio for the first time. I think every brewer has like the first time you open your own can of beer. It's just, I don't know. It feels like it means something.
It's special, man. And there's obviously so many things we could have done different, and this could have been better. But what was funny is we went out to a bar called the Chocolate Shop in Lafayette the night before, and we got a little rowdy. And we
Just
had
some dudes in the chocolate shop.
yeah, it's just this bar in Lafayette.
Oh, I was like, you don't even serve alcohol.
Yeah, it's like, so we went to Ball. I think we had to get there at like 5 in the morning or something, and we were not all together. And what was funny is this toasted brown can is not the color that we wanted, but none of us could have the lights on in the room that we were in because of our mental state. So
Tell them about like what it looks like when you go into Ball to look at a proof.
oh, it's ridiculous. It's enormous. You talking about this?
Yeah, like when they show you, from what I haven't been,
Yeah.
but from what I've heard, it's a very, very specific, like they put you in a very specific room with specific lighting.
Yeah.
So that's like, if you're like, well, that's not what I ordered, like, fuck you. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, we weren't in any state to tell them they were wrong about this. and we were all wrong about this because this is not the color that we wanted at all. It was supposed to be like that brown color, but we weren't in a great shape, and we said, sure, go with that one. And what's funny is you think
That's amazing.
You think like you're ordering this big substantial amount of cans, right? It took them longer to stop the machine and change the die and print these than it did to like actually print them.
Wow. Yeah.
like you're so insignificant compared to like the Coke Zero or whatever the hell they were printing that day. But man, it's really special. And I on that note, I would encourage anybody who's trying to think about starting a brewery, go for it, man. Anybody who's thinking about starting anything, go for it.
you all said that same thing 10 years ago, the first time I met you.
Really?
Yes, legitimately. It was at BBC. We were doing, and I was like, yeah, I want to open a brewery one day. And either you, Matt, Zach, all three of you were like, do it. Like there was no questions. There was do that.
Look, man, it is always more rewarding to put in 80 hours a week for yourself than 45 hours for somebody else. And if you get to make something, like you get to make like I think I wrote the words that are on this can that people bought out of the store, like that's the Floodlights Club logo on the can. You know what I'm saying? Like this meant something. And most times you walk in the Total Wine or Liquor Barn, whatever, and you see all those cans and you're looking for one that catches your eye. But like, it's most likely someone's got something invested in that. Mm-hmm. Someone's got some money and time and stress and anxiety, and there's people behind that. And I think it's just fun to remember that from time to time.
Yeah. That's beautiful. That's fantastic.
Sure.
And an iconic can. I think you guys made the right decision because I love the toasted brown.
They're sharp. Be careful.
Yeah.
But
The investment was ultimately worth it, though.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah. But it's cool. They send you home with a packet of.
It's these are cool.
Yeah.
They're
aluminium.
was this the green?
Oh yeah, that was right.
Okay.
You got a little Louisville skyline there. You got a little Floodlights Club up here. You know.
I'm a fan of the yellow.
Yeah. Oh, it's fine.
Yeah, I like it.
It's just funny that it wasn't the color we wanted.
I drank the shit out of that beer, and I still love that beer.
I mean, we do like legend collabs with breweries across the city, and like we always like take a lot of time to like figure out the label, and we also still argue about it. And, like,
Yeah, because you guys never want to go with my great designs.
yeah, great.
Well, and in one respect, it doesn't matter at all. But in one respect, like it totally matters.
Yeah, it does.
You know, and so just respect it. Respect the hustle and the process.
And I see one more really cool artifact on the table here.
Oh yeah, I
Yes,
forgot this.
Tell about that one.
The gentleman's name is escaping me right now, but all of the tap handles that Great Flood originally had were made out of concrete. And they might still be there. I don't know. But so this was the very, very first tap handle made of concrete. And I want to say it might have been on like a jockey box or something at a festival.
Nice.
And it just totally snapped right at the end of the screw here. But I just kept it because
That's cool.
you know, yeah. But the concrete thing, we were just looking for ways to be a little bit different,
Yeah,
you know?
and economical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Super
And
cool.
It was a local guy. Sorry, I don't remember your name, but I hope you're still out there doing it.
And very nice heft as well.
Yeah, I think that might have been part of the problem.
I think you're probably right.
But yeah, you know, I go in there and look next time. They might still be there.
Hell
We
yeah.
went to some beer festival, and a volunteer was like, "Poof!"
I
and just
Yeah.
like cranked
That
on
could
it.
be
I was
it.
like,
That
I
to-
broke concrete.
it totally could be.
Thanks, Shaq.
But thanks for sending me down memory road, though, guys. That was
Yeah.
that
Well,
was
thank
fun.
you, Vince. This has been a great conversation. And I think if people want to learn more about what you're doing now with Right Mind, where can they find you?
My website will be up soon, rightmindky.com, or you can email me, find me on LinkedIn, whatever. I'm available. I'm
Hell yeah.
reachable. But yeah, I'm just out here trying to help people, man.
Small.
Alex, do you have anything to plug?
Maybe two things. One, I'm like 90% sure one of these two gentlemen are my great grandfather.
Nice.
No.
Yeah. We can talk about that
In
off
the
air.
flood book?
Yeah, my great grandfather was.
So you know it's one of those two guys. You're just not sure which one.
Yes, and the only reason is because I have another picture of this angle, and there's a little kid sitting up in the fire truck, and that was my grandfather.
That's awesome. Holy
So
crap.
that's like I was thumbing through because at the minute you said Southern Indiana, I was like, oh, I might know something about that. And sure enough, there's a pretty okay spot over on the corner of Barrett and Winter. Y'all should go check it out if you haven't been. You should. They play movies. Music's all right.
The movies are great. Eh?
The movies kick
The
ass.
beer's pretty good too.
Demolition Man. Oh yeah, they do beer.
The beer's really good.
Yeah,
and
the beer is all right.
the corn ribs and the chicken are also
Yeah.
something not to miss.
Yeah, corn ribs are fucking fire. And if y'all are sleeping on corn ribs, don't get them because they're weird. And don't eat the cob. A lot of people are like, "Oh yeah, you can." I mean, you can.
Yeah,
I've
you
had
can also
people-
eat the chicken bones. If
Yeah,
you
I mean,
want.
you're right. Exactly. Whatever. Like that's you can. I don't. But I'm not going to stop you. You know, that's all I get to plug.
John, you got anything?
I guess I'm just going to plug Holy Matrimony. Not a reality show, but the State of Bliss that has been
Did you get married?
promised. No. Friends of the show, former guests of the show, Ryan Berg and Haley Peros, two former guests, have entered into they agreed to enter into a state of holy matrimony at some point in the future, assuming Ryan doesn't fuck it up. Good job, Ryan. Good job, Haley. Congrats. Former guests of the show. Did it happen because they were both on this podcast?
Yes.
I'm gonna go with yes.
100%.
I'm gonna go with
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
That's why everybody who hasn't been on this podcast is
Is
still
married.
painfully single.
And they're like using that fucking website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Move.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, that one. They're just milking cows in VR,
Yeah.
fucking off.
Right.
Yeah, kids these days.
I'm
Gen
going to
Z.
plug VR lactating. No.
VR lactating.
VR lactating.
I
Yeah.
almost forgot we were talking about that. Thank you for bringing that back up.
Mhm.
Can I say one last serious thing?
Yeah, of course.
I just, for anybody who's listening this far into this podcast, who might have been part of the beer community in any way, whether it was while I was in it, before I was in it, after I was in it, here in Louisville, I just a genuine thank you for the work that you do. It can often be a thankless job. It can often be a ton of work. It can often just be taxing in so many mental, physical, emotional ways. And a lot of people have done a lot of things to make this community happen, including you guys here. And I just genuinely thank you for letting me be a part of that for a few years and continue to be a part of it in my consumer way. But yeah, it's, it is really cool to see what the last 10 years has held and what the next 10 is probably going to hold. So thanks for, letting me be here and talk about that.
Here. Yeah.
Of course.
What you got, David?
I'm going to plug, so if you've been listening, the White Labs podcast where we tasted different yeast across the same batch.
Yeah.
I'm going to plug homebrewing. As someone who's tasted many thousand beers and had various notes and significant factors about some of them and none of them for others. But I just want to explore that side of things. The idea that I can make a split batch and like move these things between different yeast strains and like kind of analyze the differences. It brings a layer of curiosity into beer tasting on a whole. So I'm pretty interested in like visiting that.
It's kind of like cooking. Like you can go to fancy restaurants all day and like, have your opinions about the dishes. But if you really want to like build your palate and like, you don't necessarily have to want to become a chef. Like you shouldn't. Opening a brewery is a lot of work and whatever. But doing it at home, like playing around with those ingredients, you learn so much and you build it. It completely changes the way that you think about what you think about when you taste a beer. Because like you said, that thing in White Labs was fucking cool.
Have you homebrewed? Were you a homebrewer? Okay.
I've done it.
I've dabbled.
Times. Yeah, I dabbled. I knew enough to know that I wasn't good enough to.
David, not with that attitude.
Not yet. Anyways, thank you guys for
your mood ring just gave you a boost of dopamine to help.
Great, dude. So closing out the episode. So, Vince, thank you so much for joining us. Michael Muller, aka Alex Vogt from Awry Brewing.
Thank you
for stepping in. We appreciate all of you, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers.
Cheers.